Stuart Nash.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Mr Chair, it is a pleasure to stand and talk about this bill, and I haven't said that recently for a number of bills that have gone through this House, because I think this makes a real difference to a number of people in society for whom need a little bit of a help up every now and again, not a handout, a help up. And I take my hat off to Sue Moroney because she has championed this tirelessly against the odds. And we're nearly there. We're not quite where we need to be at 26 hours. We're not even close to where they are in, 26 weeks. We're even close to where they are in Germany. We have 156 weeks. But we're slowly getting there. And one of the things I do like about the bill, Mr Chair, is the meaning of primary carer. I think well gone are the days now where the primary carer was thought of as the mother. So it was the mother's responsibility to do this, that, and everything else, and the father did whatever fathers do, went out to work. That's an outdated model of my parents' generation. And I think now, in this day and age, when men and women are treated equally, and there are a number of men and a number of women who play a very important role in a child's upbringing, it should not be left to primarily the mother. It has to be a discussion that is had within the family, and whoever chooses or whatever the decision that the family makes, it is good to see that this is respected by law. The other thing I also like about this, Mr Chair, is it's not just talking about the mother or the mother's partner and the mother's spouse. Again, we're talking about 21st century reality where often aunties take the role of primary care or grandparents, and so they are also entitled to the leave under this bill, which I think is, it's good to see actually, it is good to see. I would like to talk about the keeping in touch days. The one thing I just have a slight concern about, I mean, I understand it, but I always have a slight concern, and I'll raise it here just as a point, where 71 CE, it's called keeping in touch days. It's part 2, an employee may perform 1 or more hours of paid work for his or her employer on keeping in touch days if there's an agreement between the employee and the employer. What I would be loath to see, Mr Chair, is any pressure put on an employee by an employer because it says in legislation this is allowed to happen. And I know there's no such word as must or anything like this. It is all about may and what can happen or what is possible. And in one respect, it is good to cover off these situations in the bill to make sure there was no ambiguity, i.e. if a primary carer does go back to work for one day or a week or something like this, then that does provide ambiguity if it's not dealt with in the bill. But conversely, what it can do is it can set an expectation that an employee may feel pressured to have to meet. So I just want to put that out there, but again, I think it is good to clarify this because it does deal with 21st century reality. I know when my wife had my last 2 children, she found this quite frustrating because, while she obviously loved the children to death, there were times when she did want to keep in touch. But under the terms and conditions before, there was a lot of ambiguity that made it difficult to understand. So I'm pleased that's there, but I just do signal that. There's no doubt about that. Another thing that I am pleased to see, this is 71N. This is on page 45, and it talks about the annual adjustment of paid parental leave payment rates. And what it does say, Mr Chair, which again I think is very important, is it outlines what will happen in terms of rate movements. And what it says is the 1st of July, there will be a percentage movement on which an adjustment is based. It's done on, and I quote here, 71N2. The percentage movement on which the adjustment is based must be the annual percentage movement in the February average ordinary time weekly earnings employees immediately before the 1st of July date. But the thing I do really like about this is that Part B said if there's a downward percentage movement in the average ordinary time weekly earnings, then no adjustment takes effect. So in essence what it's saying is if for some unknown reason the average employee earnings drop, then we won't see a corresponding drop in the rates that caregivers on the 18 weeks leave will receive. And I think that is really important because when you're planning to have a baby, as many of us know, many of us with families know, it is quite an exhaustive process, and it's not just about what are we going to do, who's going to look after it. It's also trying to budget, and this is why I think this clause is most important. Thank you.